What is the best ship for gas mining? In this video, I'm going to be comparing all the different ships and how much you can make per hour, and also the cycle times across all the different types of ships. And hopefully, with all the data presented, you'll be able to make a good decision on what ship would be best suited for your gas mining needs. The first thing I want to talk about is actual ISK per hour. And as you can see here, this is all of the mining ships that we're going to be comparing, and also the amount in ISK that they can earn. I'm getting these totals based on the current gas value, and this is all the gas value, and this is the per M3 buy value for JITA. So we're going to be using this number down here, the 2511, because if you're mining anything other than this, all those values for your per hour earnings will go up. As you can see here, Procure, Prospector, Retriever, Skiff, Venture, they're all roughly around the same. The Mackinac is a little bit higher, and the two highest per hour would be your Coveter and your Hulk. Now, depending on what you're going to be actually gas mining in, whether it be low sec or high sec or whatever, you might want to take different ships based on the environment. Now, here's a little bit better drill down for the actual values themselves. This would be your ISK per second for every ship, and it gives you just a little bit better idea, because most of the time you're not going to be able to fill up or actually be able to mine for an entire hour. So knowing these values here and what you can get per second helps. Now, also with this in mind, the cycle times are also a bunch different for each mining ship. The Prospect and Venture are 30-second cycle times, whereas the Retriever, Skiff are 126 to 136. The Procurer is the highest at 144, and then the Hulk, being the big earner, is still at an 80.92. Now, if you can control your environment, like I said, then you can benefit really well with the Hulk or the Coveter, but in most cases, getting that gas in your mining hold every 30 seconds with the Venture or the Prospect is very good if you know you might have to get off grid at a moment's notice. Now, being evasive, especially in low sec when gas mining, is very important. So this is a comparison of the align time. This is the base align time before you add anything in the lows for each ship. And this is also taking into account that we have evasive maneuvering 5. So the Venture sits at about 4.13. The Prospect is a little bit faster. The Endurance is the most fastest, but it's not good for gas mining at all. Now, your high earning Hulk and Coveter, they're at about 8.6, and you could probably actually get this down to about 6 or 5 and some change with inert stabs. And the Venture can be made really quick, but the Venture only has one low slot, so you usually want to put a Warp Core stabilizer there. And since it already has such a fast align time, you don't have to worry about doing any crazy tricks. I do recommend using a Warp Core stabilizer whenever you're doing any sort of gas mining, especially in low sec, wormhole space, or anything like that. It'll allow you to get off grid really fast. The best ship, in my opinion, for being evasive is going to be the Venture, because it already has a +2 Warp Core strength for its ship roll bonus. When you turn on the Warp Core stabilizer, it gives you a Warp Core strength of 4, which means that it would take multiple scrams. It would take multiple disruptors. You'd have to have secondary or tertiary tackle on you for it to knock it away. So Vengers are very, very evasive in low sec, so they might not have the highest earnings per hour that the Hulk or the Coveter do, but I definitely believe that the Venture is probably one of the best. While you're worried about getting off grid, another thing you want to be aware of is your EHP. You're going to be taking hits and things like that. They're going to be trying to put damage on you, so you want to be able to not get one-shotted. You want to be able to take a little bit of heat while you're actually getting off. This is the base EHP, and it doesn't have any fit or any tank associated with it. This is just max ship skill, but just bare hull and things. So obviously the Venture is 1,026. And a lot of this you're gonna have to do with your mechanics and your hull and all those kind of skills like that, or your shield skills and things. But this is kind of what my EHP looks like across the board for my character. But as you can see here, Venture about 1,000, Prospect 3,400 and everything. So the Hulk actually does really, really well, being a high earner, and it's able to take a lot of damage, but it just has a lot longer align time. The Adventure is it's going to be a glass cannon for the most part, but any of these high EHP like the Skiff or the Procure, their line times are so slow that it almost just doesn't make any sense for that. And even though the Mackinac, like I said, has more EHP than the Hulk and things, the line time difference, being a couple of seconds at best, can really kind of put a damper on things. The last thing I'm going to talk about is actual overall cost. What do these ships actually cost, and also how long would it take you to actually break even on the hull purchase? And as you can see here, these are all your exhumers. They range anywhere from all these are values based on the time of recording, but 207 million all the way up to 256 million. And these values are for the hull and the T2 scoops or harvesters. So as you can see, the Venture about 8.7 million in JITA, and then your high earner Hulk is going to be about 249, and then your cover is actually 69. So this is where the cover actually starts looking really, really good, because the cover is a fraction of the cost of the Hulk, and it also has a pretty comparable ISK per hour, and its cycle time is actually pretty comparable to the Hulk as well. So if you really, really just kind of after that get as much value per second or per hour as possible, then and you are also able to replace, then your cover is one of the better, more attractive looking ships in that kind of scenario. Now, the question being, how long would it take you to actually pay off these hulls and these scoops and harvesters? Well, I'm going to break it down into break-even hours. This is how many hours it would take just to replace the hull and the scoops based on what we've already seen as far as ISK per hour. Venture, it would take 0.4 hours to actually replace that purchase. The Skiff, 7.8, and then the cover, 1.8, so not a little bit less than 2 hours. About 4.5 hours for the Endurance, because the Endurance is just absolute trash. And then the Hulk would take you a little over 5.5 hours. I think with all this information, you can start to see why the Coveter would probably end up being one of your better ships past. If you weren't wanting to do like a venture or prospect, if you were trying to decide between Hulk or Coveter pretty much comes out on top for the most part, because 37 million an hour compared to 44 with the Hulk, and then also the cost being like 70 million versus like 250 million, and then the cycle time only being about 15 seconds slower. The cover really starts to kind of shine in terms of things like that. And then also the EHP, is a lot lower than the Hulk on the cover, but as you can imagine, it's you're trying to balance the cost of operating and also how much you can actually do per hour or even per second, as we saw here. And even the cover is not that far off on per second as far as value goes. But I think if I had to like just pick an overall best ship, that's really good in real world situations, it would definitely, for me, still be the Venture, just because it's cheap, it's fast, and it's able to actually just kind of output quite a bit. But it also really kind of depends on what kind of gas you're mining as well. You know, if you're doing really high value gas, then it might be beneficial if you have help and to bring like a Hulk or a Coveter. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you got a decent enough amount of information in terms of what ship is better for gas mining for your situation. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.